Greetings in chat, it's Nubius in 100. Glad you can make it. Greetings in chat, next is Hunter. And greetings as well, Snipius in 100. So you are aware that it is expected to arbitrarily summarize chat now and again depending on the number of comments made. Because everyone seems to enjoy that so very much. Which is fun. Greetings in chat, Bishop. Greetings in chat, Kefki. And yes, 58 should not be expected to get anyone's names right, not even mine. Perhaps especially not mine. Greetings in chat, Snuggles. Glad you could make it. Point really, Birdie, is there? We're raffling off a copy of Diplomacy is Not an Option. A very interesting game. I'm probably into the raffle one myself. It looks positively charming and hyper-violent. I hope you have all had a fantastic weekend, and that returning to the regular will be painless. Excuse me. I do confess being a bit mercenary and that I can be bribed to do a large number of things, although I would not say I quite qualify as gigolo, as no one can afford my services in that fashion. Absolutely no one. And quite frankly, those who could, would have to raise the price on just to avoid it. I mean, I'm not touching Bill Gates for any sum. The term gigolos, as I'm sure you're aware, are not typically associated with military. But I suppose you want to classify it that way as people who take money to do things. Yeah, they could be on the same list. I'm very glad to hear it, SCPR 100. Quite welcome. I have a feeling I'm not quite as animated as I typically would be. You'll have to bear with me on this. I might have had a little too good a weekend. Now 17 minutes from live. Halloween isn't all that far off now. Just, another 2 months or so. And change. Well, over 3 months, but close enough. And every day, closer still. I suspect it has to do with the massive floods in Texas, SCPR 100. Very uncharacteristic, sudden, massive floods. I'm seeing claims are directly connected to a cloud seeding project that a big brain might have really overdone it on. And I support Halloween in July. Honestly, it's about time Halloween took some territory back. I don't imagine you heard that, but we just had a first summary from 58. Thank you for that, 58. They don't even get the name right, but oh boy, can they say gigolo properly. Yes, why they are pestering quote-unquote Ice Barbie with it is strange, but I assume it's just some way to try to divert them to the flood disasters. As you note, though, they're about as responsible for that as they are for mending my socks. Bad news for you there, Kefki. People were very, very hurt. It is almost an unprecedented toll, and the floods haven't stopped yet, I hear. So, for those of you who are inclined to pray, I get the impression people of well, Kerrville, the former town of Center Point, and so on, could use that. It's taken out an entire town. Dunn Operator is covering it quite thoroughly, if anyone's wanting to get into that. But it is dark matter, and I prefer to focus on the dark matters that are totally fictional, and refreshingly so, with so many others that aren't. We are 12 minutes from live. Excuse me. Greetings in chat, Mean of the Wild Mongoose. Apologies unnecessary, Kefki. Really, about the only way you could chafe me with that, Kefki, is if you were one of the absolute ghouls on Twitter who are celebrating the loss of life in the floods because they're political operatives and they just like the idea that someone who they feel voted wrong died horribly. Tangentially, no, almost completely unrelatedly, I'm reminded that I learned today that the American Party that Elon Musk is trying to found is apparently incorporating neoliberalism as one of its planks. And I just... Why? What? Well, I suppose this should be what people need to know to confirm that the American Party is meant to kill the Democratic party, as they're about the only people who would think that's a good thing. Greetings in chat. Shrubby 1989. Mind you, I still rather prefer the idea of the Democratic Party dying to be replaced by the American Party. I'd like it better if we weren't apparently bound into a two-party system. But changing out one of those parties would be refreshing. That hasn't happened since the Whigs. Greetings in chat, BGC Veteran. We are 8 minutes from live. Since a lot of you are quite active, I would like to mention again we are raffling off a copy of Diplomacy is Not an Option. It's a rather recent. First past the post or winner takes all voting, I think, is one of the things that would absolutely have to be fixed in order to end the two-party system, to have more options, more competition. Multiple parties are always possible. Technically, there are multiple parties already. The main problem is that the system is basically rigged to support exactly 2 parties. It comes by naturally, mostly from the fact that the average human being will vote along tribalistic lines to keep the other guy out of office, even if who they're voting for represents none of their values whatsoever. I remember CGP Grey did an excellent video on alternative voting systems that would better represent the will of the populace, and would, as a result, almost certainly break the two-party system. Alas, I don't think the system would like to change that. I believe the two-party system is seen as a feature, not a bug. One more reason why I'd love to see the American Party kill the Democratic Party. Even if I can't say I trust the American Party all that much either. I do think it is not the threat to the Republican Party some partisan people think it is, though. It's not really going to draw from Trump supporters. It is going to provide a lifeboat, a jumping off point for the disillusioned, depressed, miserable, pathetic, losing party. Yes, I'm a proud member of the No Party, by the way. Unless, of course, they get organized. Then I'm out. I see absolutely no reason anyone should tie themselves to a party. The party should agree with you. You should never have to agree with the party. We are 4 minutes from live. I'm idly generating images of rats brandishing assault rifles. I'll show those off at the start. That's right, assault rats. I could do this for quite a while, but then I would definitely be late to start. And I'm a rat close to my heart. Probably the corvids. Not necessarily ravens in the classic sense, but there are countless other very novel varieties. I'm particularly fond of the jackdaw. J.D. is quite aware of this chat and seems to be amused by it. Remember, your chat prompts 58 to interrupt me. Look, I personally feel the Skaven could be redeemable. Look, it's Chaos Influence that makes them so miserable. If you captured a few Skaven, and they're pretty used to it, that's what they do themselves all the time, I'm thinking you could probably reform them as a species. Greetings in chat. Okay, sure. Skaven are potentially adorable. The way they live, however, makes them rather disgusting. Okay, I believe it is time to go live. I only have one SCP selected, so if you have one you would like me to read, you'll probably want to have that number handy. See, I still think they can eat, but as we established, I am very partial to rats. Unfortunately, we'll never get to test my hypotheses.
User Director Arcater, chats buzzing about Skaven from 40k, CRISPR potential for long-living rats, and Team Fortress 2 vs COD. There's also a humorous nod to naming genetically enhanced rats after famous rodents.
Thank you for that, 58. And welcome to the SCP read, or the SCPR, which actually I could have called review. Only, well, I did that already, and I never felt I was adequately reviewing. So an SCP read is a bit more honest, and therefore I'm more comfortable with it. I hope you've all had a fantastic weekend, and look, 40k Skaven don't necessarily have to be Warpstone powered. Maybe 40k Skaven could be rather good company. Although it's the Imperium, there's only war, they would be inevitably shot at regardless. Right. The assault rats, previously mentioned, run through these last 4 generations. I can't decide if I like them when they're fully uniformed or when they're just wearing adorable combat vests. First off, there's a misnomer about rats. They're actually quite clean. Take my lads, for example. They use a litter box. You don't expect that of rats, but they absolutely do. Should have known that a bit sooner, though. Saving me a lot of cleanup. I just loaded this up in case we had an SCP that did not have imagery, so we could generate it on the fly. The actual SCP we're dealing with is SCP-5135. If, by the way, you have an adequate mic and would like to read along with one of these four with me, please let me know that you've popped in to the green room on the Archives Voluntary Reserve Discord server. Otherwise, I will get moving in just a moment. It's taking a while. As I said, I might have had a little too much fun this weekend, and I am paying. It's fine. No, well, in that case, you'll probably pull up SCP-5135, and let me see where you are. Not in the green room, so never mind that. Right, let's get some reading in. SCP-5135, containment class safe, and I'm really quite done even pretending they've gotten the other classes right. Secure containment procedures. Physical evidence supporting the existence of the events of SCP-5135 are to be secured and archived. People claiming to remember any events associated with SCP-5135 are to be administered amnestics and, pending brief psychological review, released without further incident. The area containing SCP-5135 is to be secured with a 1 kilometer radius exclusion area inside the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, marked with physical security fencing and security personnel. SCP-51351 itself is to be sealed inside a 10 meter by 10 meter sarcophagus with cement walls no less than 0.5 meters in thickness. There is to be no door into the container. Note, this sarcophagus is meant to protect SCP-51351 from exterior forces. It will offer no mitigation of destructive impact in the event of detonation. Description: SCP-5135 is a global-scale armed conflict which did not occur between 2009 and 2017, for which evidence exists that it did. This evidence, which consists of documents, radio signals, photographs, and fragments of digital data such as images and communications, has been recovered intermittently since 2011. It is theorized that this evidence is an anomalous manifestation of an alternate parallel timeline. See Addendum Z. While very little exists about the details of SCP-5135, some general information about the cause, context, and impact of the conflict has been learned through examination of the recovered data. SCP-5135 involves at least 4 global superpowers, of which 2 are the United States and the People's Republic of China. SCP-5135 utilizes a high level of espionage and cyber warfare. The first physical military engagement of the U.S. on U.S. soil occurred in 2010, with additional engagements occurring several times since then, as late as 2014. Widespread misinformation campaigns are integral to these strategies of at least the US and one other belligerent. The conflict has included nuclear engagements since at least 2016. The Foundation may be involved. SCP-5135 is an undetonated nuclear device. It is of a size and payload similar to the Soviet RDS-202 hydrogen bomb, the Tsar Bomber, tested on October 30th, 1961. The casing is inscribed, see below. Its estimated yield is approximately 97 megatons. Casing inscription: the family is lost. Hawaii, 12/24/2012. Indistinguishable, North Carolina, 3/12/2016. This one's you. SCP-51351 is locked in a temporal stasis field and presently hovers 104.6 centimeters above the ground. The source of this field is unknown, but is suspected to be caused by Foundation personnel or an equivalent in the SCP-5135 timeline. Measurements suggest that, despite appearing still, SCP-5135 retains momentum and kinetic energy. As such, any physical interaction with it may cause instant detonation. Normal. Oh, in green room. Okay. Greetings, Shrubby. You're now live, Rebecca.
Apologies, the button appears to be stuck.
Oh, well, you're in now. What it's worth.
How am I sounding now?
Just fine. Perfectly acceptable.
Thank you.
If you would like to join in reading, we can trade off on these things. Just a matter of pulling up SCP-5135. I can send you the link right now.
I believe we're at the following. Is it possible timeline of events? Yes.
Yes. Addendum 1, theorized timeline, will be the first.
Roger. The following is a possible timeline of events for SCP-5135. 2008. The United States sends emergency relief supplies in response to the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. Some of these supplies are contaminated with biological agents that cause a biological outbreak, resulting in an unknown number of casualties.
Early 2009.
Early 2009.
We might want to trade.
Apologies, go.
Early 2009, Chinese agents operating in the US uncover that this contamination was intentional. China launches a military strike against the United States. Details and US response unknown.
November 2009. After escalated military engagements over the year, another nation joins the engagement with a military operation against China. The United States denies affiliation or alliance with this third nation.
2010. Military troops arrive on east coast of the United States from another unknown nation.
2011. In a closed-door summit, members of the European Union express a desire for this conflict to end.
Summer 2012. Military forces attack Hawaii and set up a military installation on Kauai. The US begins their siege of this installation.
December 24th, 2012. The United States bombs the installation on Kauai, killing hundreds of military and civilians. The US considers this an operation a success.
Early 2013. The National Security Agency begins a disinformation campaign to quell growing US concerns about the bombing of US civilians.
March 2016. A nuclear strike occurs on US soil.
June 2016. An aircraft with a nuclear payload is shot down over Italy by unknown aggressors, resulting in a catastrophic loss of civilian life.
No evidence has been recovered regarding any events after this occurred. It is unclear if the war ended after this point or the world devolved into a self-destructive nuclear conflict.
Addendum 2. Collected evidence of SCP-5135.
Inventory code 5135 TAC-E TAC-1. Description: a corrupted digital photograph of a US government document indicating a military strike by China in early 2009.
Section read on marked for redaction under 50 U.S.C. Ours to do something. Decision now! This was unprovoked, and we need to continue to show the American people are strong in the face of chaos.
I have expressed to the Chinese ambassador that in light of this attack, we will be asking the Chinese government to recall him. We would like this done before the end of March.
Let me reiterate to all of you that the impact of this attack, the American way of life, is the highest priority. There will be no mercy for those who would attempt to values our lands and our way of life. Moving forward.
Inventory code 5135 TAC-E TAC-2. An audio fragment of a phone call between an unknown US government employee possibly employed by the US Secretary of State and an unknown party.
Well, the Secretary of State already said that we're disavowing any relationship. Regardless, the CMC is being briefed that we're involved. They don't know that. And with all the attacks this year, I can't imagine that Dale is going to authorize that kind of conversation. All right, sir, I understand.
Metadata indicates this call took place on November 19, 2009 at 5:43 p.m. EST.
Do we need to read out the transcript, or did that come through?
I suppose we can just skip past this one, although we would have read it much more intelligibly. Inventory code 5135E3. Description: an encrypted plain text file from an unknown US operative. Significant data loss. Contents:
PRC aware US involved in 08 bio-op. Horses operate in Kuwait since J12. Found Ion Han Gresp SMO Ingf R&D NSA sub Sys Info 10E Coast Inga Popu.
I'm guessing population annihilated, but hard to say. Inventory code 5135E5. Brief excerpt of air traffic control signals picked up by Italian ENAV, air traffic control. Transmissions are from Italy, Area Control Center in Rome, Roma, U.S. Army 173rd Infantry Brigade Combat Team Airborne, Red Tail, and an unidentified aircraft, UAC-001. Note: blocked indicates the message was blocked by another transmission. I suppose we'll just listen to this one.
Aircraft heading 185, Navoma, you're on radio. Aircraft heading 185, Roma, you're on radio. Aircraft 185, Navoma, Visual, Squawk 7600, radio inoperative, Roma. Roma, Army 1016, heading 025, Army 1016. Army 1016, Roma, are you set to aircraft heading 185, was that you? Don't put your scope down. Roma, Army 1016, negative. Stand by. Aircraft heading 187, Roma, all is well. Oh, God. Army, are you the aircraft? Ceasefire, U.S. Army 173rd Infantry Airborne, ceasefire.
Ceasefire, advise I am carrying a nuclear plane.
Where is that bastard?
I am hit, Mayday. I have engine fire, damaged aircraft, gunfire, flight level 5,000.
Center position, chosen force. Can you maintain the turn up?
Not maintained. Stalled. Nuclear payload. Crashing!
Nuclear! Oh, Miguel! Get in the kiddo!
And apparently a large part of Italy got glassed to that point, which probably didn't do much to settle the international conflict. In this case, we have lines, one Dr. Delkirk and one Dr. Voigt, in which case I might ask you, which role would you prefer?
I'll take Dr. Voigt if that's happy for you, Doc.
Perfectly acceptable. Dr. Voigt is a theoretical physicist specializing in temporal anomalies and is employed in the Foundation Office of the Historian. The recording begins. There's one thing they want to be completely and totally clear about.
Yes.
I want to be certain that this war is not something that happened in our reality. We are not threatened by it.
Doctor, that's a bit of a complicated question. On the surface, yes, it definitely seems this war tangibly did not happen here. The collection of items we've uncovered paint a very stark picture of a world that we are quite sure never occurred.
But you have another theory.
Unfortunately, there is the possibility that the war did happen. It could still be happening.
Where?
Here on Earth, in this reality.
Some kind of anti-mimetic war, and these pieces of evidence are...
No, not an anomalous war. A mundane one. Perhaps contained partially by anomalous means, but a mundane war nonetheless.
SCP-5135 is a full-scale armed conflict doctrine involving multiple nuclear attacks and massive loss of both military and civilian life.
And
That's not something you could easily hide.
you're not a military man, are you? If you don't mind me saying so.
No.
Ever been to Iraq?
No.
Can you tell me how do you know the war in Iraq happened?
Through historical records, media reporting.
And if there was none? What if the news never reported on the war in Iraq, never made statements about it, never decorated soldiers for it? Would you even know it happened?
You're talking about a cover-up on a global scale. Wouldn't there be evidence?
Physical evidence supporting the existence of the events of SCP-5135 are to be secured and
User
archived.
Director Arcater, chat's having fun with the idea of Skaven and ninja rats. There's a humorous discussion about commando rats and callbacks to Warhammer lore. Plus,
Sorry, say again?
it's hot out there, 98 degrees on the 4th of July.
Thank you for that summary, 58. Pardon, you would have heard that through the stream. Apparently, I didn't even see anyone talking about the temperature, but 58 is complaining about the heat.
I can imagine it's not doing her circuits very well, no.
Well, I suppose she does take after me in that regard. I absolutely detest the heat, direct sunlight, going outside in general. Right. Greetings in chat, Rising Crafter. And as for Classic Con, I'm afraid I do not know what I'm talking about. That said, I am pretty sure. Yes, there was a flash flood speech threatened. I would rather very tragic thing. Might address that at a later. We've talked about it briefly. Right. Finish the SCP file. My God. Are we the cover-up? To which I think we can all say bullshit. And be glad that we have not seen whole wide-scale nuclear conflict yet.
Always the yet. It's always the yet.
I will never forgive the Doomsday Clock people. Like, I believe
Agreed.
the first time I think Trump was elected, at some point they found a reason to move the Doomsday Clock closer to midnight. And throughout all of this, they haven't moved it a single inch. It really stresses to me that Doomsday Clock is a colossal, dismal, offensive, intelligence-insulting fraud. But that's
all it was. That's all it was during the entire Cold War.
And it continues to be. Completely worthless. A bunch of smug big heads patting themselves on the back on their ability to trick into the world along what strikes me as very petty political lines. Right. Before we continue on, we need to know the SCP file, and this means your requests are now open. If you have an SCP file you'd like read, please let me know. I would appreciate it if it was something that you don't think would take, oh, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours to get through.
He hasn't quite forgiven me for asking for therapists the other time.
I should have done that. Oh. There's an ongoing contest at the SCP Foundation, the wiki, to create articles reminiscent of classic SCPs. See the wiki homepage. Well, that's probably worth mentioning, and I would like to see more of a return to the classic SCPs. Mainly the ones that can be read in well under 4 to 5 hours.
And not full of self-inserts either.
That would be nice. I thought they cracked down on that for a while there, and well. First off, we have a game to raffle off. I'm gonna play the trailer for that right now. Once again, Shrubby, I'm afraid I haven't arranged for you to hear it in that call because I didn't think it through that far and didn't necessarily expect anyone would be joining. Still, this game holds. I just need means to get you the key.
Epic Games, something along those lines, or
Diplomacy is not an option. It's quite warfare, isn't it? I thought it out. Guys, our time is coming. K-Shell is marked down for the raffle. And K-Shell has also requested SCP-4557, which will be next. Now, also I'm glad to hear the contest will have entries at or below 1,000 words. Robbie's in the raffle.
good idea.
Just a moment, please. I quickly note who is in the raffle so far. So, Kay, Shull, Robbie, and who else? Oh, that's it. Well then. Oh, Snuggles. Right. We have 3 competitors, and I'm entering as well. Although, as you might recall, if I win, I have to win by beating everyone twice. It's long odds, but if I do win, clearly I was meant to have it. Right. Where are we?
Really? This is the one they want?
Well, 4557. I'm sure I've read much worse. Much, much, much worse.
This is borderline AJ, honestly.
AJ?
A joke SCP.
Yeah, there are a lot of those. And there are a lot of joke SCPs that are better than the originals. I personally prefer the joke version of the Plague Doctor, who is technically a much better doctor in that he's actually curing people, albeit terminally.
Yes, with a shoe.
Really puts full effort into it. Okay, we have 3 entries for Diplomacy is not an option, and we're moving on to SCP-4557 as requested by K. Shull. Thank you, K. Shull. Item SCP-4557, Object Class Keta. I would like to take it from that.
I certainly will. Special containment procedures. Due to SCP-4557's nature, reliable containment of the entity is currently impossible. Foundation personnel have been planted within the New York Police Department are to report any SCP-4557 sightings. These personnel are to administer a message to any and all witnesses. In the event SCP-4557 manifests, Mobile Task Force Pi-1 City Slickers are to tranquilize the specimens comprising the entity and relocate the subject to SCP-4557 TAC-1.
The building housing SCP-4557-1 has been bought by the Foundation, and access to said structure has been denied to civilian individuals. A chain link fence has been constructed around the structure under the cover story of renovation. Area 555 has been established within this building for the purpose of research on the entity SCP-45571 is to be consistently monitored via closed-circuit television surveillance, and any demanifestations are to be reported to Area 555.
Description. SCP-4557 is 5, that should be R, is 5 specimens of the species Procyon lator raccoon. The specimens form a singular entity in a humanoid form. One specimen acts as the torso of the entity. The remaining 4 specimens act as the arms and legs of the entity, biting onto limbs of center specimen. All specimens are capable of separating and moving of their own free will. The specimens composing SCP-4557 will separate when threatened. The exterior specimens are capable of manipulating objects via the use of their tails. The center specimen is capable of speech, is believed to be sapient, and controls the remaining specimens through a shared intelligence. Of note, the entity acting as a center specimen changes whenever the entity's form is disrupted, and all anonymous properties attributed to the center specimen transfer to the new specimen when SCP-4557 reforms. The entity often wears a black trench coat and fedora. It's raccoons in the trench coat.
Yep. Well, look, as far as SP files go, it's still perfectly normal. SCP-4557 shows interest in media depicting police investigation, most notably cinema noir and the film noir genre. At seemingly random times, SCP-4557 will manifest at the scene of a felony investigation with the intent of assisting the investigation. Notably, SCP-4557 has a preference towards investigations of murders, though will also manifest at the scenes of robbery, vandalism, and arson.
SCP-4557-1 is a singular apartment within the building located in New York City, New York. SCP-4557-1 acts as the current living space of SCP-4557. Following an investigation, SCP-4557 will manifest to SCP-4557-1. Similarly, if SCP-4557 exits New York City, the entity will manifest with an SCP-4557-1.
Addendum 45571. The following is a video transcript of SCP-4557 appearing at the scene of a murder. The video was taken from the chest camera of Officer Albrecht. Extraneous data has been removed for the sake of brevity. Officer Albrecht and Officer Pens. Why not? Do you have a preference in the role?
I'll go Officer Albrecht this time around if you like. Begin log. Officer Albrecht stands in a living room. A woman is lying on the ground in a pool of blood. One other officer, Officer Pens, is standing nearby and inspecting the body. Does she have an ID?
Yeah, driver's license. Name's Penelope Stewart.
Does she have a husband or a boy?
Officer Albrecht is interrupted.
Officer Albrecht. No, you go.
SCP-4557 manifests near the body. The camera shakes as if Officer Albrecht is backing away from the entities.
What the fuck is that?
Ah, another murder. Seems like it never ends in the city. Every day, there's a new body with some freshly spilled blood. Hold on. Let me get a text.
SCP-457 leans down and starts lapping up the blood. Officer Penn steps back, grabbing his walkie-talkie.
Guys, we have a goon problem, but they're talking? I swear to Christ, it's talking.
SCP-4557 looks up and faces Officer Pens.
Pleasure to meet you, officers. But I've got the case from here. Trust me, this case is in good paws. I will crack it faster than you can say, murder she wrote.
Get away from the evidence! Officer Albrecht runs towards SCP-4557. The entities separate and reassemble on the other side of the body.
Several narrow wounds on the victim's back, bleeding. Aha! What the fuck, guys? Get animal control here now! My dear Watsons, I believe I have
User
a clue.
Director Arcater. There's talk about Classic Con and an SCP contest for
Sorry,
creating
I'm
short
giggling. Sorry,
entries.
continue.
Also, chat's buzzing about a raffle. People want in. There's mixed chatter about conspiracy theories and weather events
SCP-4557, my
too.
dear Watsons, I believe I have a clue. This woman was stabbed.
Extraordinary detective work there. Also, 58 was taking a moment to summarize things. What?
Oh.
I don't believe we touched on many conspiracy theories. Chat. I think 58 misinterpreted that. Still, thank you for that, 58. I'll find a way to share the joy of their interrupting with guests in the future. Should we fire at this thing, I suppose?
Don't worry, sirs. There's no need to reward me. What the fuck? Should we fire at this thing?
Don't worry, sirs. There's no need to reward me. My payment comes from knowing my city is safe. But a check in the mail would be nice. The fuck? Get animal control here right now. This raccoon, he's messing with the evidence.
SCP-4557 demanifests from the area. End log.
Aftermath. Approximately 15 minutes after SCP-4557-D manifested, Foundation agents were able to enter the scene and administer Class B amnestics to individuals involved. Yes. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. It's the one thing we're sure about, me and the Mongoose. Epstein didn't kill himself. Again, I'm not sure he's dead, but I am certain he didn't kill himself. Right. Addendum.
That one bakes your noodle even further. If is it the fact not only did he not kill himself, he's not dead at all.
I would sooner believe it was a double and he's in retirement somewhere than I would believe that he killed himself. And I have to say, I lose so much respect for Cash Patel and Dan Bongino every time they are inclined to tell me with a straight face, yeah, he totally killed himself. Oh, and that goes for Trump too. They've all said it. And bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Right, but back to the SP file. I personally like Detective Raccoon, although I can see how they're absolutely useless for solving a case.
That's among other things. Addendum 4557 TAC 2. SCP-4557 has requested a typewriter from Foundation staff, along with a desk and a lamp. As of November 11th, 2000, these requests were granted on the condition that Foundation personnel were permitted to examine any writings produced by the entity on a daily basis. The following is an excerpt written by SCP-4557, preceding the events shown in Addendum 4557 TAC 2.
As follows. December 20th, 2021. It seems like every day there's a new investigation to start in the city. One starts to wonder why New York keeps itself running with so much scum walking the streets. But I guess that's what I get paid to do. If you want to help on this, or I can go through the whole thing. How do you feel about it?
Feel free. Have the whole thing. You're doing a wonderful job.
Most kind. Just today, got another report of a woman found dead in her own home. I knew that this case would be impossible to solve unless the department were to make use of my cunning wit and charm. They practically begged me to come see the case. I made my way through the rain to her home. The case looked impossible to crack. There were no leads, and the cops weren't much help either. One of them lost their cool and tried to attack me. Can't really fault him, though. I'd be pretty jealous if I were him, having to be compared to someone as impossible handsome as me. But this case seemed cold until I found something. Blood. And several wounds. All like little slits. It took me a second to piece it all together. but I'd figured it out. The woman was stabbed in the back. Honestly, I don't know what the department would do without me. It seems like they need me every other day to work on a new case, but that's the price one has to pay for being the best detective in the greatest city in the world.
Oh my god. Addendum 4557 TAC 3. On May 19th, 2021, SCP-4557 manifested in an office building owned and used by Scrimshaw Publishing Company. Eyewitness accounts state that SCP-4557 was stood in the middle of the establishment holding several stacks of paper above the entity's head, all of which were stapled together. SCP-4557 repeatedly offered the stacks of papers to employees of the office, repeatedly entering offices and putting papers on desks. Foundation personnel were able to recontain SCP-4557, administering Class B amnestics to all witnesses. When questioned on its behaviour, SCP-4557 explained it was looking for someone to publish his novel. The papers offered by the entity were composed of writings created by SCP-4557, as well as several drawings depicting SCP-4557. Following this incident, SCP-4557's typewriter has been confiscated by Foundation personnel.
You know, I'm inclined to say mean things about the autistic merit, but strictly speaking, considering it was done with, a tail crudely wrapped around a pen or marker, rather impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty damn impressive, yeah. It's certainly better than I can do.
Yes, even if I had a tail. Greetings in chat, the Assassin Grey. And that brings us to the end of SCP-4557, which, although I would say you have an excellent case for this being actually an SCP-J file, I would still endorse this wholeheartedly. I think Raccoon Detective's great. And furthermore, it can still be chalked up to an asshole wizard did it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which is curiously what explains the large majority of SCP files anyway. So why not this too? Also, I just
play that clip.
It's gotta suck for the raccoons. Imagine having several other raccoons biting into you just to manifest what amounts to, I'm guessing, a very wayward spirit, or just to enact the will of, again, random asshole wizard. Greetings in chat, Miss B. We have gone through this SB file. I think it's a great piece. We could use another number if anyone wants to make a request. We do have 20 minutes remaining. In the meantime, we'll be paying a quick visit to the main page. Oh, and we've made it to 13 likes. Isn't this out of month for that? I suppose it's expanded again. It's fine. Site news. Here we go. The month's site news has info on Classic Con and Town Halls. Check it out here. Want to know how front page writing features are selected? Click on the archived features for more information. If anyone wanted to write their own SCP file, it seems like now would be an excellent time to do so. I knew someone who once wrote their own SCP file that would have gone pretty well in here. I don't think they'll get around to entering it though. If anyone was liking to write some SCP files, we should probably look into the competition. Wizards are assholes. Have you ever watched the video 3M at Shambies? No, actually, but I have observed at great length that wizards are indeed assholes. Like, very few wizards do not thoroughly qualify for being an asshole. I think quite possibly Rincewind would be the only exception, and largely because he can't do much in the way of casting spells.
Being utterly useless comes with that territory.
Yes. Additionally, as someone who's worked with Magog Morskar, one also gets the message that wizards are assholes reinforced very, very thoroughly. And meanwhile, we are at 13 likes, which means it's time to launch the confetti. Thank you for making this stream a success. Okay. Well, while I'm waiting for a number to be suggested, and anyone can make a suggestion, ideally something to be done in 20 minutes. Otherwise, I'm thinking I'll just pick a random SPJ, which seems like a good place to go after 4 raccoons in a trench coat.
Just
Oh, though, I'll
sounds
remind
like a
everyone.
cheesy nursery rhyme, doesn't it?
Just, I like detective. I'll give it a pass. This game you're seeing, the trailer for right now, is diplomacy is not an option. We've got 3 entries for this raffle. We'll be handling it the random.org as always, as it was some rare drop in an MMO. Closest number to 100 wins, or in my case, if I should win it, the top 2 numbers have to be closest to 100 and mine. So, I'm not going to give my hopes up. If you would like to enter the raffle, now's an excellent time to do so, after which we shall move on to SP437, as requested once again by K-Shoal. Next hunter has joined the raffle.
That was SCP-437, yes?
That is right.
Yeah, I remember this one.
I'm sorry to hear that all the games have pissed you off, neither by Mongoose. Right, SCP-437.
Shall you start us off, or shall I?
Feel free to go ahead and get started.
Right. Item SCP-437. Object Class Euclid.
Special containment procedures. A fenced perimeter has been established around SP-437 Foundation. Horticulturists are to be kept on site to monitor and care for SP-437A instances. Testing is prohibited pending review by the Ethics Committee.
MTF Iota 10. Damn Feds. Are to investigate all POIs associated with SCP-437 and place them in Foundation custody along with their children.
Description: SB-437 is a large grove of trees located in Camp Lakewood, Illinois, USA. It contains 64 instances of SB-437A.
SCP-437A are numerous trees common to North America. Each instance have several cankers, atypical interior structures, see below, and, rather than sap, contain significant quantities of human blood.
SB-437 was discovered by Foundation in 2011, 20 years after the summer camp's closure. Employment records at Camp Lakewood have not been found. All persons who attended Camp Lakewood during the summer of 1991 are persons of interest and are still currently at large.
Addendum 437 TAC. 1 Interview. Person of interest 437 TAC. 15 was brought in after genetic analysis of blood samples from instance of SCP-437 TAC-A led to a match in Foundation Hospital records.
Would you prefer the role of Agent Bennett or Subject POI 43715, aka Samantha Blanchett?
I'll go Agent Bennett.
Very good then. Also, possibly very bad then, but we'll all find out in just a moment. Date:
Indeed.
2014-09-15. Interviewer Agent Bennett. Subject POI 43715, Samantha Blanchett. Begin log.
Did you attend Camp Lakewood in 1991?
Is that what it's all about? Oh yeah, that was. Wow. 2 decades ago? Wow, I was 15, I think. That really takes me back.
What do you remember from your time there?
Best summer ever! It's an amazing place. I was so sad to go, especially when we found out it was closing. I made so many friends there, so many great memories. I think, yeah, it's even when I had my first kiss.
Did you ever see any strange trees to the south of the camp?
Huh?
2 kilometers to the south, there's a grove of trees. Are you familiar with it?
I mean, sure, we all were.
In what sense?
I mean, it was good at kid stuff, you know? Stories the counselors would tell around the campfire, spooky trees in the southern trail, something trapped inside him. You go there at night, press your ear against the bark, and you can hear it singing.
Singing?
Yeah, like I said, goofy kid stuff.
Did you ever go there yourself?
Silence.
Mrs. Blanchett?
Huh? Oh, sorry. No, I never went there. Too scared, I guess. that was pretty crazy stuff, you know? Sometimes I really miss that place.
In log.
Note, shortly after the interview, POI 43715 escaped custody via unknown, presumably anomalous means. Subsequent investigations found all persons of interest associated with SCP-437 have been recently reported as missing. Addendum 437.2, email update.
Date 2016-07-20. From Dr. Weiss. T. Weiss at scp.foundation. To Site Director August. J. August at scp.foundation. Subject: recent findings.
Radiographic and ultrasound imaging determine the presence of humanoid skeletal structure and soft tissues in each instance of SCP-437-A. Organs are woven into the trees themselves and appear to be semi-functional. Although severely deformed, most of the bones are consistent with adolescent humans between the ages of 13 and 16.
In several cases, deformation of the jaw has been minimal. This allowed us to identify certain instances via dental records taken before 1991.
I don't think your pure eyes are the campers, Jeremiah. I suggest we sub-designate them as part of SCP-437. As for the SCP-437-A instances themselves, I want to look into the possibility of euthanizing them.
They've been in there for 20 years. When you press your ear against the bark, you can hear them.
Slow and muffled. But you can hear them just fine. Well, it seems to imply that
Spooky.
the one they had might not have escaped so much as dissolved when the jig was up. Were they ghosts the entire time?
Dun dun dun!
Meanwhile, how they got in those trees, I'm thinking one of the last things anyone should want to do is press their ear up to the bark.
Yeah, it seems that part was very specific, wasn't it?
It does. Apparently this leads to another SCP file. I'm just going to take a quick glance at it. We have only 10 minutes remaining, so I'm thinking... Yes, we'll start with this next time, because these interview logs are massive red flags. Just huge red flags. The reddest of flags.
Huge.
Before I can get something done in 10 minutes. So I'm just going to make a point of starting with SCP-571 next time, and instead, one last time, offer the game for raffling. And then I'll raffle off the game. And then I think I'm probably going to go ahead and call it. Why? I'm tired.
Because I can.
That's it. I quite like the minimalist polygon charm, and it makes perfect sense when they're, well, generating battles on that scale. Were there any last-minute entries? For diplomacy is not an option. Presently, in order, we have Kate Shull, Shrubby, Snuggles, Nexus Hunter, and myself at the end of it. If anyone gets 100, I think I will skip my turn. Okay, let's move on to the raffle. Again, doing this through random.org because it's basically dictated by cosmic background noise, so accusations of rigging are completely unhinged. Not that I've ever actually faced any serious accusations of rigging, but still, I was sensitive to the idea. First up, for Case Show, we have 39. Not particularly auspicious, but stranger ones have occurred. Next up, Shrubby, your number is also 39.
Eh?
Cosmic background radiation,
Okay,
damn it! Don't screw with me like
User
this!
Director Arcater. There's some
I'd love to see the
banter
odds on that
about
one.
Epstein
Holy crap.
conspiracy theories and raccoons being mischievous. A few people are showing love for Discworld, especially Rincewind. Stardew Valley is a hot topic too. Someone's frustrated with the Egg Festival.
Thank you for that summary, 58. And again, some of these frustrations with the Egg Festival. I am certainly no stranger to frustration. Okay, well, we might have to have a roll-off between Shrubby and K. Shoal. Next up, Snuckles has rolled 15. And now, Nexus Hunter has rolled 22, which means presently there's a tie between K. Shoal and Shrubby, unless, of course, these next two rolls are higher than 39. My first roll is 97. My second roll, however, is 28. I'm sad. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a tie via this before. So I'm guessing I'll re-roll for just K. Shoal and Shrubby. Highest number wins. K. Shoal, your number is 38. I feel like I'm being trolled by cosmic background radiation. Shrubby, your number is 100.
Awesome! Natural 100!
Congratulations, Shrubby. You have won Diplomacy is not an option as provided by one Exodus, who has provided almost all of the keys that I've raffled off, and I'm much grateful for it. I could attempt to read something in 5 minutes, but I'm not going to. Instead, thank you all for watching this SCP read, and I hope to see you at the next SCPR next Sunday, or the experiment the Friday prior. Also, I believe we're not too far from side quest resuming. Speaking of asshole wizards. Until next time, so long as progress continues, success is inevitable. Ostensibly. Much like barring societal resets, like global for the War.